podcast. Thank you for watching.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. This is your boy Dave signing on for this lovely Sunday evening. Of course, you can follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Third Intermission is where you can find us, and you can like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. That includes our friends over at Podbean, Google, Spotify, and Apple. We got a big panel tonight. Of course, we got the right hand of the king himself, aka Mr. Fedora Man, aka Mr. Steal Your Girl, Avry McDougal out in these streets. We've got the Queen of Black Hockey herself, Marsha. We got our hood correspondent, aka the General. We got Troy in the building, and we have ourselves a very lovely guest here by the name of Jolene. Jolene is a reporter for the PWHL, and we are very happy to have her. Jolene, I'm going to start with you. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm recovering. I was just in Vancouver for the very first Vancouver Golden Eyes home game, and I'm coming off that experience. That was a huge high, so I'm feeling good.
Amazing. Avry, how are we doing? How cold is it in Edmonton right now?
Hey. For the record, there are two Edmontonians here in the chat, so be careful. Myself and Jolene. So I got some backup this time on the show.
We are going to outnumber you guys.
Not so sure about that this time.
Slowly but surely, slowly but surely.
Gotta watch out.
Marsha, how you doing?
We out here. I think we gotta be careful with the temperature monikers because Toronto's slowly starting to get colder and colder.
No, that's fair. But at the same point in time, it's like, look, Edmonton still needs to catch their strays every once in a while, and I only do it out of love.
It's all love. It's all love, but good otherwise. Can't complain.
All right, and Coach Troy, how we doing? How's the beard?
Beard is doing fine. The man attached to it is doing well too. Just finished another day of work. Just excited to get things going. Kids are almost ready for bed, but let's get started. Let's have some fun.
All right, excellent. So, Jolene, let the people know what you're doing right now. Obviously, I did mention that you are a reporter for the PW, but I kind of want you to give us a little bit of intro about who you are, what you normally do for the PW, and of course, what your favorite hockey team is before we get started.
All right. Wow. Okay, a lot to cover. So a little bit about me. I've been a sports reporter for about 10 years. I went to USC, have a master's in journalism. I've covered almost every sport possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have an Emmy in sports reporting. I just won that this past summer, so that was really exciting for me. Thank you. And right now I'm covering mostly the PWHL and curling. So two of my favorite sports. I love women's sports. I also grew up curling and I love curling and the game's growing, so I'm very excited about that. And I have a bunch of different freelance clients. So a couple of them are in the PWHL space. I've been going to the first game of the season, plus doing a lot of preseason stuff for a bunch of different people. And if anyone is interested in my coverage, I always link all of it on my socials, so you can go check it out there, and it's all listed there. But I've been covering the PWHL since before the league launched, so I was an early adopter, and I've gotten to know a lot of the players, a lot of the other media, and I love that community so much. My favorite hockey team, or my favorite team in general, not just hockey. It's hard for me
you can do hockey, you can do football if it really just makes you feel better, but
Well, I was gonna say it's hard for me to pick favorites because I learned this lesson so long ago when I was covering a World Series. I was covering the Dodgers World Series in 2017, I believe.
Okay.
Dodgers, probably every Jays fan's favorite team. And for the Jays fans out there, this might make you feel a little bit better because I was at the World Series at Dodger Stadium and they were at home and they lost at home. And I think they lost at home twice when I was covering them in the World Series, two different years. The first year I had to go to the winning team's clubhouse, which if I was a Dodger fan, which you think I might have been because I covered that team the whole year, I got to know some of them, that would have been pretty uncomfortable to go to the winning team's clubhouse. But what I learned is there's always a party somewhere, and I'm going to find that party. So that's why I don't pledge allegiance to anybody except a good time. and I don't have favorite teams.
That's a solid bar right there. I think we're gonna
Exactly.
steal that going forward. I don't pledge to anything but a good time.
Yeah.
That's actually solid.
Yeah, so I don't have a favorite team, although I will say college ball because I've never covered college ball. I feel
Mhm.
pretty safe saying that I do cheer for the Trojans, but that's because I went to USC, so it would be weird if I didn't. But other than that, I'm very agnostic.
Sounds great. Um, First time we've actually had an Emmy winning reporter, so honestly, this is a first for us. So we're excited to have you here. How our interviews work, like I said, we just ask you some hard hitting questions. We ask you some fun questions. We may have to make fun of the fact that, like, you were technically a Dodgers fan for a little bit, but that it's all in good fun at this point. Um, Ready to get started?
Let's have at her.
All right, excellent. So we're just gonna go around the panel a little bit here, and then we'll just kind of just have some fun with this. First things first, though. Describe the vibe for, say, what has to be one of the biggest rivalries within North American sport between the cities of Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, British Columbia. Like, what was it like, say, just in that whole particular atmosphere on Friday night?
It was so electric on Friday night, and I don't use that word lightly, but it was an incredible time. I go to so many games, hockey games, football, baseball. Like I have lived 10 years of just going to sporting events, and I don't often go to an event that is that exciting. The feeling of Pacific Coliseum, I'd never been to a game there. They used it for the Canucks, obviously, until 1995, and then in the interim, it was used for Vancouver's WHL team up until 2016. There hasn't been real hockey in there for a while, and I'd never been in the Coliseum. It's incredible. It's old, but it's beautiful with this beautiful wood roof, amazing lighting. You can just, when you're sitting in the press box, you can see your view all the way up the stands is so, so cool. And it was so loud and so energetic that it will be one of the sporting events I remember forever. And you can see that rivalry starting to grow. These are two new teams, but they're so close geographically. Fans can kind of go back and forth pretty easily if they want to if they travel well and want to go to an away game. And you can see that both teams have something to prove with the way that they play, with the way that the fans are coming out for them. So it's kind of fun to be there day one of that particular rivalry, the women's hockey rivalry, because I see it growing into something pretty legendary. And these teams are very equally matched right out the gate. I think in preseason they met twice and it was a split decision, and then in the first game that I went to went into overtime. So you can't ask for more parity than that.
All right, I'm going to hand this off to Avry real quick. Avry, go right ahead.
Mhm. Angeline, you mentioned the atmosphere in Vancouver with the Torrent playing the Golden Eyes. And of course, one of the biggest players who scored for Vancouver was Sarah Nurse. What has it meant to see Sarah go from Toronto to Vancouver and immediately become that star for the Golden Eyes, a team that's coming in year one to the P-Dub and needs someone like her on the off days to be the ambassador for hockey in Vancouver, Jolene?
I was so surprised when Toronto did not protect her in the expansion. I mean, I understand because she had kind of an off year. There were some injuries, and it just wasn't her best year on the ice. But she is completely the cultural heart of hockey for women's
Mhm.
hockey in Canada and such a star. And she's a Toronto girly. So I felt like, wow, she's such a good fit for the Scepters. How's she going to do in Vancouver? But to her credit, she's really embraced her role as a leader. She understands her position in the cultural landscape of hockey in Canada, and she doesn't take that lightly. So she's stepping into this new role and embracing it and really thriving. As you can see, she scored the first ever goal for the Golden Eyes, which was amazing to be in the house for. I was actually I wasn't sitting right by her agent, but I was going to meet her agent right when she scored. So I talked to her team after, and of course they were so excited and thrilled for her, and it was just great to see all the support that she has in the crowd already. People are already attaching to her, which is awesome because I did wonder, she's such a Toronto girl. how's she going to fit in Vancouver? Are people going to be like, oh, it's she's not really a Vancouver girl, but they're really embracing her, and I love that. And it was great to see that she got the A as well. Part of the leadership group, the leadership core within the team, and I'm really excited to see how she helps professional hockey take root in the city because there's no one better to do it than Sarah Nurse.
Absolutely. Of course, for the Golden Knights, they're the first team in the P-Dub to have a building that they can truly say is theirs. Every other team in the P-Dub, they are borrowing, they're playing in the tent of, say, an OHL team or an NHL team or an AHL team. What does it mean for the Golden Knights to go into the Coliseum there and have that truly be their building?
It makes such a difference. I didn't even realize how big of a difference it was going to make until I got there. And the minute I walked in, the press entrance, you walk in and there's all this Golden Eyes branding on all the columns and the concourse, on all of the, aisles, everything. It's little things like that that you really almost don't even notice when you're in a primary tenant's home. Like if we go to an Oiler game, Avery, because we cover the Oilers a lot, we
Yes.
probably are blind to the amount of Oilers branding that's actually in that arena. You get used to it. When you're not used to it, as with the PWHL, it just is so in your face when you finally see it. And the minute I walked in, I thought, oh, this feels real. It feels so real. Whereas at the other PWHL arenas, you really just feel like a visitor because you're in somebody else's home. But there we were in Golden Eyes territory, and you knew it. It made such a huge difference. And that was just me as press walking in. I'm sure fans had the same experience. You could see fans are really sold into it. I saw almost every fan there wearing Golden Eyes merch or the first jersey PWHL Vancouver merch. It was incredible. So they're already buying into that. Plus the players are buying into it. And you mentioned Sarah Nurse. She talked at length about this in the press conference after the game, how they've never been the first priority. They've been second, third, fourth, but they've never been number one. And just the difference it makes psychologically to know that you are number one, it's it means everything to these players. And she said it, so I'll just kind of quote her, but she said that she thinks that primary tenant situation is going to be an example for the rest of the league for where they want to get to.
You made a really good point there, and I'm like picturing it with like at here with like I still call it Rico Coliseum, Coca-Cola Coliseum, and like all these other places where you know that you're not the priority going into a building. So it's like, okay, I'm just renting. Like, how does it feel to have to go in and like know this is your spot, but it's not your spot? So as Sarah said, I hope that becomes more of a norm, as we go forward.
You're so right about renting. It's like the difference between renting and owning.
Yeah.
When you're renting, you're like, I will pour the bacon grease down the drain. I don't care.
Exactly.
When you're owning, you're not doing that. You are not doing that. So there's just such a different level of care that goes into having your own place, and you can tell that that's what it's like at Pacific Coliseum. And I've been to a couple games at Coca-Cola. When you walk in, you know it's the Marlies' home. It
Hmm.
does not feel like the Scepter's home. This is a lot different. And one of the big differences that I, again, didn't even realize until you see it in person. The minute I walked in, I saw the Golden Eyes team store. And
Hmm.
I just thought, that's right. There is no team store at Coca-Cola. Of course not. Yeah, they sell merch in the concourse or wherever, but it's not like you walk in, there's a full branded team store. So that was really cool to see. And to see all the different types of merch that they have available. It felt so professional and it made me really excited for where they're going to get to because they're going to keep growing. This is just beginning for them.
Yeah. Mentioning Team Store and merch, I wanted to get your thoughts on the idea of like having the full-fledged Golden Eyes merch logo, but then also dropping the like PWHL Vancouver line of merch alongside it and kind of having both to play around with.
I personally love that. I like the PWHL Vancouver branding. That's just me. I really like it. My personal style is more collegiate. Like if I was gonna buy a team gear, which I don't really have any team gear, but if I was ever gonna buy team gear, I like the stuff that looks more collegiate. That's just my taste. And I think for fans, it's nice to have two things to toggle between because depending on your vibe, you want You want something different. And people are so individual these days. And that's something that Amy Shear, who's the league's vice president of operations, business operations, she talked about this after the game because she did talk about merch
Mhm.
and what they've learned with merch sales over the past 2 seasons that they're now applying to the new expansion teams. And she said that something they learned is that you kind of want to try to have something for everybody. So you want to have something at every price point. You want to have something for every size, be size inclusive. You want to have things that match people's styles because everyone is looking for that one thing that's for them specifically. So I actually was pleased to see when I was in the team store that there was a lot of stuff like that. I actually went in before I talked to Amy, but I did notice, okay, there's some things for $15, or there's stuffed teddy bear, for kids, or there's stuff that's made in partnership with Lululemon. Like there's a wide variety. So I think the league's going to be leaning even more into that, into uh, emphasizing all the branding assets that they have, using all of the options, plus how individualized can we make all this stuff?
Which is so amazing. Style is so important, especially as you're leaning into being different and not being the NHL, because myself included, and Troy, me and Troy, we're all there all the time complaining about fanatics every single hour of every single day because they mess things up all the time. There's terrible size inclusivity. Like it's just like one style of thing all the time. So to see the PW try to branch away from that and be very intentional with saying, okay, no, we need the toys, we need the different style of jersey, we need the sweaters, we need the shirts. It's really refreshing in comparison to the NHL.
Yeah, and I hope that it's something that they keep leaning into. And I think that's the plan, but it has been cool to see them understand their target audience, and think of ways to cater to that audience. And they only have 2 years of data. So I just think when they have 7 or 10 years, how they're going to be able to keep acting on that.
Speaking of catering to the audience, there was an interesting choice of music that was played during the stoppages of play. Did you notice what it was? Do you think other people in the arena noticed what it was?
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought up the music. I don't know which one specifically you're talking about, but I will say that the music throughout the day, starting at morning practice, was an eclectic mix. So, first song they played for morning skate was "Killing in the Name" by Rage Against the Machine. And at morning skate was a bunch of minor hockey kids, like girls, like 10-year-olds. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. I don't care about the swear words. I hope the parents aren't offended. Um, so kept looking over at them, being like, "Wow, are they really going to play the whole song with these kids like just hanging out here?" I thought that was fantastic and the best way to start the day. Then I noticed during the actual game that there wasn't, so I don't know what song you keyed in on, but there was an eclectic mix. Like they were picking stuff that I thought, oh, that's too old for this audience. Like it was kind of like stuff my parents listened to. And then they'd go to Taylor Swift. I actually wanted to know who made the playlist, because it didn't make sense to me, but I didn't hate it. It was just very unexpected.
So the one that I picked up on was the pause music from the GoldenEye video game.
Yes, that was what they came out to. They actually came out to that song in intros. I thought to myself, because of course, everybody from a certain age range, when they hear GoldenEye, that's all they think of is 007 and 64. And I also wondered, like, because the girls who play there about my age group, like, surely they would have played that game. I wondered to myself, like, do they think James Bond when they think GoldenEye? And then I didn't think they would be so on the nose to actually pick the James Bond theme for their intros, but sure enough, they did. So I did notice that.
That is very clever on their behalf, for sure.
Yeah. I wondered the young girls in the audience, because they canceled girls minor hockey in Vancouver on Friday so that everybody could attend that game. So there was a lot of minor hockey teams. And I wondered, like, is this relevant to them? Like, do they know this is the James Bond theme, or is it going to be one of those things where your parents try to, you're like, oh yeah, this is a really poignant song for this moment, and the kids are like, okay, whatever, I don't know really what it means. I think it
Well,
was only,
it's a good history lesson. But
yeah,
yeah, you're kind of right. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't really care.
yeah. But for the people who got it, they got it.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'll take this one next here. So not only is it significant to hear that like say they actually canceled like say minor hockey games for something this significant. Um, I feel like you know what like this like stuff like this is why we do what we do, and you know I feel like it's only going to grow the game even more, and I feel like it'll also just help significantly grow the women's game, not only say within Vancouver but also within like say North America in general. Um, we have been talking about this for the last little while, but I kind of want your opinion on, like, say, where you think the next big city would be outside of Edmonton, because I know Edmonton is more than likely going to get a franchise within the PW. But like, where else do you see, say, of the I'd say the PW within North America, in your opinion, within the next 2 to 4 years?
Good question. Well, we have to think logically about it. I don't think they're going to want to put another team on the East because well, they'll expand by two or four teams in the next 2 years, probably, or very soon, two or four teams. They will want to put teams out on the West to create better travel and better road trips for everybody, as well as to make the league seem, or not seem, but to make the league more national. They don't want it to be just a regional league that's concentrated on the East Coast. So I think it'll be a while before they do another East Coast team. That said, if they do expand by four right out the gate, maybe Detroit. I could see Detroit being because it's kind of a bit more central anyway, so it's not terrible for travel. I know Quebec City would love a team. And the league has had excellent experiences in Quebec City, but I just think it's a little bit too far east. But I could see Detroit maybe. But as far as like most imminent, obviously you already mentioned Edmonton. I think that's a very, very strong guess, especially considering there are going to be four women's hockey games in Edmonton this year, or this season rather. The two rivalry series games and then the two takeover tour games. So that'll give the league a really good idea on how the market responds when it's more than just a one-off. And then to make it a good travel scenario for Edmonton, I would guess that maybe they would put one in Denver. The Denver Takeover Tour game last year was really well received in the city. It was, I think, the highest attended or second highest attended. Maybe Vancouver beat them by just a little bit. They have a lot of support from the NHL team there. So I could see Denver being, and the league needs to put another team in the US for sure. They won't expand by two Canadian teams. So that would be my guess. That was my guess a year ago. I did an article trying to talk about expansion and guessing, and I thought it would be Vancouver and Seattle first, and then possibly Edmonton and Denver. So I'm still sticking with my guesses here. We'll see how correct I am, but yeah, that's kind of where I think things could shake out.
Just to follow up on that, sorry to cut you off, Avery. I know there are two significantly big markets in the United States that I believe the PW could potentially be looking at. Maybe three, in my opinion. One would essentially be Chicago, because Chicago is definitively a hockey city. And then the other two might be considered, say, gambles, at least in my honest opinion. I could be 100% wrong here. So, of course, opinions do change. But how would you feel about, say, seeing professional women's hockey in the cities of Los Angeles and potentially Dallas?
You're not the first person to mention either of those cities. There are people who think that LA will be the next city or in the next expansion group. Um, and that's not a crazy guess. Nor is Dallas. The one reason that I don't get on board with the LA people is that they haven't put any takeover tour games there. And they
Hmm.
really use the takeover tour to test new markets. So that's what makes me kind of hang back a little bit. Dallas, I could see Dallas potentially. Maybe even Dallas instead of Denver. Chicago, is that a stop on the takeover tour this year? That I don't know off the top of my head. It
Chicago
just
is, yes.
it
I'm
is.
sorry, yeah.
It is. So yeah, I could so then I that's one of the criteria for me always is it on the takeover tour. And then the other thing I know that the league cares very deeply about is having the right sized arena. And having proper practice facilities. And I mean, that's why they chose the two to expand in Vancouver and Seattle because they're the primary tenant in Pacific Coliseum, which means so much. We already talked about that. Plus, they have practice ice in Vancouver, which is a feat that the Canucks seem to have a hard time pulling off. They have the Golden Knights have their own dedicated practice facility. Um, and so when you look at other places where they might expand, a good way to rule out places is to say, can they be at least the secondary tenant in a place that's at least 7,000 seats? And are they going to have dedicated quality practice ice, not like community ice that they're on? They want a facility with like actual professional locker rooms and all the bells and whistles. I don't know if Chicago has that, because I don't actually haven't thought about enough about Chicago. But now that you've mentioned it, it might be something that I go back and think about.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Dallas and LA, I'm sure they could find what they need in both of those places.
No, I appreciate your answer on that. All right, Avery, all yours.
Yeah, Julian, I want to ask you, what team in your mind is going to be that surprise team that can maybe get to a Walter Cup? I know we saw last year, Ottawa was that team that had a nice deep run in the postseason. But I do want to ask you, like, what team do you think can have that run that could surprise people? I mean, personally, I want to be New York. I followed New York from day one. Of course, the Sirens haven't been very good. They've struggled. They lost Alex Carpenter in expansion draft. So, what team in your mind is going to be that one team that will come out and really threaten Minnesota in your mind this year?
Such a good question. And I think what we see with the league is that every team has a chance, which is why it's kind of scary to make a prediction because you could easily be wrong. As I learned last year with playoffs, I think every prediction I made going into playoffs was completely incorrect. Um, I mean, they like to say this at the league, every shift matters. But it does really matter in this league because if you can squeak into playoffs, you have a chance. The parity is really tight. When you were asking the question, I was thinking already the first thought that came to my mind is actually the Sirens because I think that they're going to be interesting to watch this year. Yes, they've had kind of like 2 years where they just haven't had the success that I think, frankly, that they qualify for. Like they have so much talent on that team, but they're just not quite getting there. This might be the year. I know that might be a hot take, but they're building around a young core with a lot of energy. And with Sarah Fillier just developing a little bit more maturity in her game and a little bit more confidence, I think they might be well positioned to be a surprise contender. But I also think that Seattle's going to be really challenging for a lot of teams, especially with their top line. It's basically like the Team USA top line copy paste. So I think that they're going to be a problem to get through. So I wouldn't count the Sirens out, but I think Seattle's going to be a bit of a nuisance, and I'm keeping my eye on them for sure. I would never bet against Hillary Knight,
Good call.
basically. Yeah.
Good decision. That's smart advice. That's smart advice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take another stab at it here. Okay, so considering that you've covered a significant portion of the Big Four, I know outside of Canada, there isn't really too much talk about, say, particular teams in, say, in the Big Four, like, say, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, and of course, there are no Canadian teams in the NFL. But of course, the only thing adjacent to that would be, say, the Buffalo Bills. Given the fact that you've had boots on the ground when it comes to hockey, and I'm going to feel embarrassed for asking this right now, what's the general consensus when you hear conversations about the Leafs and like is it like say is it like really that bad or is it just like is it one of those just like oh the Leafs just suck and then they just move on to something else? And I want to hear your honest opinion on this because we've had some discussions with other hockey personalities and you know getting made fun of because your team is completely terrible is one of the worst feelings in the world. So
Well, the Oilers are completely terrible right now too, so there's that. Uh, the Leafs, it's funny because I worked with a lot of people from Toronto. I worked at the Score for 2.5 years. I'm not there anymore, but while I was there, almost everybody I worked with was from Toronto, and every year they would feel like it was the Leafs year. And I love that level of optimism. I think it's such a great quality to have.
Mhm.
And I think every Leafs fan should continue with that level of optimism. Don't let the facts daunt you. And that's what I'm going with. Do the Leafs have a chance? I mean, do the Oilers have a chance? You've seen in the NHL that, I mean, teams can, it's, it's kind of, I think, I have nothing to prove this, but I think the teams that do well in the playoffs are the ones that are really good at peaking later in the season. And I think because of that, some teams lose, like lean off the gas a little bit in the, first half of the year. They don't really worry too much about performance as long as they squeak into the playoffs in good shape. And so when you think about pacing, um, especially given that it's an Olympic year and there's going to be for the guys who go to the Olympics, that's going to be tough because they're going to be banged up when they get back. For the guys who don't go, they're going to get like a month off, basically. So as long as you kind of like make it to that break in good shape, uh, and then spend that time recovering, you could squeak into the playoffs and you might have health on your side. So do I think I think that maybe that's something Leafs fans can hold on to is a little bit of hope. I don't think the Leafs are that bad, but I also don't think the Oilers are that bad. I think it's all about peaking at the right time.
No, I appreciate that answer.
I'm
Uh,
giving that to you as your ray of hope to hold on to. I'm
one
looking
of
for
your
anything
trust.
encouraging to say.
Thank you. All right, so this might come as a little bit unhinged, but you know what? I'm going to save my question. I'm going to throw it over to Marsha for a minute.
Yay. Okay. I have you said curling earlier and you brought back memories of joy from some years ago in university when I tried curling for the first time. I was like, wow, this is like the most fun thing ever. And then I started watching it on TV all the time. So, my question to you, what got you into curling and what kind of made it this thing that you kind of stuck with and decided to keep going with and decided to report on? And what are your hopes for curling as a sport as it continues to grow throughout the country?
Oh, I love this question. And I love that you are a curling fan. That's so fantastic. And you're based in Toronto, correct?
Yes.
Oh, we got to get you out to the Scotties this year. Yeah, because they're in Mississauga.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I got into curling because of my parents. I was a very unathletic kid, and they wanted me to have a sport, so they made me try curling, and I hated it so much because I lost all the time, and not by like a small margin, by a giant margin every Saturday morning. So I'd be on the ice crying and begging them to let me come off and just quit. And they were like, no, no, it'll build character. Stay out there. And I was like, I already have a lot of character. And
Yeah.
they were like, well, whatever. Stay out there. You're not getting out of this. So they forced me to curl. And this went on for like years. It wasn't like one or two tries. It was like multiple seasons that I hated curling and I was so bad at it. And then at some point, I became like not terrible, but like never good, but like not so bad. And I
Yeah.
even won a couple games, so that felt good. And then as a teenager, like I I allowed myself to believe I was good at it. And when you're a teenage girl, like to have anything that you feel you're kind of good at is so important.
Yeah.
And So curling was just in time for me. I just got good at it right when I was needing something to feel good about myself with, and it became the perfect sport in that way. And as I started watching it, I became more attached to it, and I actually really fell in love with the sport. And with the people who play, with the community, I feel very comfortable at a curling club. I love the smell of curling clubs. I love being on the ice. I don't care if I'm good or bad. It's just nice to be out there. So I did become a true fan of the sport. And then I moved to LA and I went to college there. I also worked for a while in LA and I went back and I did a master's. I did 2 degrees in LA. And while I was doing my master's in journalism, this is going to come back around to curling because when I moved to the States, especially in California, there's not a lot of curling, especially then. There's more now. There wasn't a lot then. And I kind of almost forgot about it, even though it's the only sport I really knew. And when I was doing my master's in journalism, I had to do a sports class and I had to pick a beat. And I didn't really know any sport well enough to do well in. And I was like, I got to get an A in this class because I love school, but I don't want to put so much effort into like learning football or something that like it causes me to do bad in this class. So I was like scratching like my brain trying to figure out what sport I could do. I remembered I know curling. I know curling really well. I'm Canadian. So I went to my sports prof and I was like, he's not even going to know what it is because this is LA. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do curling for the whole semester. And I had no idea he was an Olympic reporter. He was like one of the prominent NBC reporters for the Olympics. So he was thrilled that someone was doing an Olympic sport. So he he was like, "Oh, fantastic, curling, that's awesome. Go hard on this." Like, yeah, commit to it. A week after I told him that curling would be my beat, he got an email from the World Curling Federation. Then they were like, "Do you have any students who are interested in covering curling for the semester? Because they could win a contest to come to Europeans in Glasgow and cover curling." I know it's crazy.
My gosh.
So it's so crazy. And sometimes things just work like that. So I won the contest. I went to Glasgow. I was had no intentions of covering sports at all. I was going to journalism school I wanted to get into music journalism. But I ended up covering this curling competition. All of a sudden, I was a sports reporter because I had had this little bit of experience, this international experience. So when I got back, all the opportunities that, if anyone needed a student for anything,
Mhm.
I was kind of first up for them because I had a little bit more experience. So I ended up being a sports reporter. That's how I got into sports reporting is with curling. And then for several years after that, the World Curling Federation would fly me around the world to cover their world championships. So I flew all over with them. We went to Norway. We did a championship in Vegas. I was in the curling bubble over the pandemic. So all of the experiences that I needed as an early sports journalist, I got from curling. And even the idea of being a sports journalist, I got from curling, which is why I'm so committed to the sport now, because I got a lot out of it. I feel like I have to give a lot to the sport. And so when you ask what are my hopes for the future of curling, I have a lot of high hopes for curling. I want to see curling claim its place as one of the funnest sports to watch and participate in. I want more people to know about it. I want more people to feel comfortable in curling. I realize that the sport has a history of being something that you get into because your family does. And in that way, it's not as inclusive as I would like it to be. So I actually I sit on a committee with the Curling Canada, Women in Curling. And our job is to get more women into it and to get more people from different backgrounds into it. So it can be something you do. You don't need to know anyone who does it. You can come and do it and feel at home. And I really hope that in the next 10 and 15 years of the sport, that we let people know that wherever they come from, whoever they are, there is a place for them in curling. So that's kind of where I hope the sport is going. And I see a lot of innovation trying to happen in curling. I know the curling group is launching a professional curling league. It's called Rock League. They have some NFLers who are part of that. I think that the connection between curling and pro sports and Rock League will be a professional league. So these will be pro curlers. So I think the making it a pro sport is really exciting, and I hope that that continues to grow in whatever fashion as it sort of figures out its identity. And yeah, I want it to be less rare that people like curling. I want, everyone on this call to like curling, and that would be such a dream come true for me. So that's my little recap on how I found the sport, how the sport's helped me, and hopefully how I'm helping it.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. That is,
Yes.
it's so cool. And it's so amazing how like one little thing can become like your whole world in such a short period of time. And it just changes your trajectory. Because like music journalism would have been great too. Me, a music lover, play all the instruments in the world, but like one small thing in the drop of time is like, okay, now I'm doing all these things. Now you've won an Emmy, you know. So that's really awesome,
Never would have happened without curling.
you know.
And I mean, honestly, the timing of that is so insane. And when I think about, is there anything else out there? This is one of the reasons, like things like this are the reason that I'm like, oh, okay, we're not like there, I do believe in a higher power or whatever it is, because that's too crazy. That is insane that that happened to me and that it actually was my direction. But it also like says a lot about the importance of staying open
Mhm.
to new experiences and saying yes. And my saying then, which I still is my saying, unfortunately, is that I don't get enough opportunities to say no to anything. So if there's an open door, I'm walking through it. Even if I don't really think it's the right door for me, I will make it the right door for me. And that's what happened with sports and all because of curling.
I love that.
Yeah. And I do want you to come out to the Scotties though. You for sure. Do you have tickets already?
I don't.
Send me a DM after and we'll try to get you out there.
So,
Oh snap! We got third intermission at the Scotties. Let's go.
That would be really, really fun. But I'll have to connect with you personally because I have some hopes and dreams for Scotty's coverage. And I want to see if I can make some cool stuff happen. So maybe you could be a part of that.
okay.
Okay. I feel like if we're going to do this, then like we need to actually like come up with something because like for me, like I've always wondered like, if we could actually get like a team from like say Scarborough or Brampton, right? And like none of the kids out there like actually like either understand curling or even watch curling. So it's kind of just like it feels like it's a little bit of a boring sport for them. Like so say like I'm like in the dead of Brampton somewhere, I'm learning about curling for the first time, and I come up to you and be like, "Hey, teach me about curling because this kind of looks cool." And well, to use Toronto slang in this situation, I kind of want to know Wagwan in this situation. So what's up?
Teach you about curling, just the
Yeah,
gist of it.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You're like break it down for me so I can understand it.
Okay. All right. It is a sheet of ice,
Really?
but it's not regular ice. That's the first thing to know. It's special ice. And this special ice is pebbled. And it has, if you ever watch curling, you might see in between draws, which is what they use for game, the word they use for games. In between games, there will be an ice guy out there spraying this stuff on the ice to give it this different texture. And that texture is when you throw a rock down that sheet of ice, it doesn't always go straight. Sometimes it curls. And that's partially due to that texture. So then you have these rocks, this granite, that all the granite that they use for curling comes from one place. It comes from an island in Scotland. So they have a big quarry there for this special granite. They create it into these rocks. The rocks have like a particular running surface, like a little edge on the bottom of the rock. You sit in the hack, which is basically just like the starting blocks in a track almost on ice. You sit in that hack and you push yourself out of it. You throw the rock down the special ice. The rock has a handle that'll help you like turn it one way or another. That combined with the special ice forces it to curl. And your goal is to get it closest to what they call the button. So it's just a circle at the other end of the ice. You want to get it closest to that button, and then you get a point. And however many rocks you have closest to that button at the end of your end, which is throwing 8 rocks on your team, that's how many points you get, if that makes sense. And so in curling, you'll play probably like 8 ends or 10 ends. So each team throws 8 rocks, and then they do that like 8 or 10 times. And however many points you get at the end of that, that's the winner. Does that make sense? Is that like a good wrap up? I've never had to like, oh, mid. Okay, I'm gonna have to work on it.
No.
What
It's
didn't
not
you
that. It's just
understand?
no. I'm not saying your pitch was bad because like your pitch was actually pretty solid. Again, say if I'm just a kid learning about this, right? And of course, most kids these days, let's be honest here, have some very terrible attention spans. Like
True.
so, say if we were to try and do a TikTok just to bust out, say the basic facts of curling in 30 seconds and how to make it appealing, like I feel like we could potentially make that work.
I lost him on there. I lost him. Okay, so this is not for the kids. Why would kids like curling? Well, for one, it's something you can actually just easily do. It's not like
Mhm.
hockey where you have to go get a bunch of equipment. You could rock up to a curling club. I promise you try it. Rock up, ask if you can try curling. They will give you the equipment. If you wanted to play a sport, it's so cheap to play. Usually like to play a season of curling, it's like couple $100 is nothing. You could just the equipment's there at the club, so you don't even need to buy your own. So that's one. If you actually want to play a sport, it's very accessible. Two, if you're a kid who thinks, and I know there's some of you out there, if you're a thinker, this is the sport for you because there's so much strategy involved in this. It's for thinky people, which I know there's some kids out there who love to think, so this will be for you. If you're a kid who likes hitting things, there are so many opportunities to smash rocks together in this game. You shove that rock down that ice and try to hit the rocks on the other end. It is big time fun because you're just hitting rocks into each other half the time. So those combined, that would be my pitch to the kids. But
Also,
I'm
the
not,
most perfect sound.
but I feel a little old because I haven't talked to kids for a while now, and I feel a little bit like, hey, kids, you
Hello,
know?
fellow children. Like, how would
Yeah.
you like to throw some rocks today? It's like,
10 out of 10. No, I think you did great for not having to speak to them for a very long
yeah.
while. I would probably add in that the sliding on the special ice is like so great.
Mhm.
You might
Yes,
fall the first time, but it's so fun.
I
it
mean,
is fun.
eventually we're going to have to like field a team from like the West Indies at some point, or like have a Jamaican curling team.
Love it. There's a Nigerian curling team. They're actually really good. Well, they're
Really
very much
interesting.
they're very much improving.
There you go.
There's also a Filipino curling team that is really good. I have to check if they qualified for the Olympics. I know they were trying to qualify. Um, yeah, there's curling all over. There's a Saudi Arabian curling team. They'll show up sometimes at Worlds. I saw them at mixed doubles Worlds a while ago, but yeah, there are people there are curlers from all over, but it's in Canada where curling was born in Scotland, but Canadians really made it their own and it is sort of like a national sport here. People sometimes forget that because hockey's our national sport, but curling is a really big sport nationally. But what's happening in Canada is that curling is not doing a good enough job of engaging different communities. So it's really like white rural Canadians a lot of time that feel very at home in curling. So to your point, hopefully we change that because we got to get some curling teams from these other communities because it's a great resource. And another thing that I think it offers for sure for women is such a great community. And that's what young teenage girls need is like people to connect with. And you're going to find that at curling. And I know it's the same for the men too. So yeah, I do want to see, I want to see some Jamaican teams. Like we need that. Oh, and hopefully we get there.
So, Troy, it sounds like you and I need to squat up and actually get this done. As I as I sauce this next question over to you, but what do you think?
So here's so I'll just be the guy on the sidelines waving the flag because Brampton has curling. They have a whole Brampton curling club, and if you take grade 12 leisure class in the wintertime, curling is one of those sports. I took grade 12 leisure class and went curling. The one and as Jolene was explaining how the game of curling works, it reminded me of exactly why it was one and only time that I ever played it. Now, I might be the only person you ever meet in your life who got injured playing curling. So, as with most gym classes, Dave, I see you. As with most gym classes, you might have your one or two kids who don't care for sport or Jolene, as you mentioned, you weren't particularly good at sports or whatever it may be. So, um, the gym teacher. He's telling us exactly what Jolene said. It's a specialized kind of ice. They spray special stuff on it. The rocks are all granite. Just this is what you do. You aim for the middle kind of deal. So the kid, he goes before me. He's throwing his stones. He's throwing them no problem. His his last stone curls away from him. Now we're at the Brampton Curling Club, and we were splitting the ice surface with another school. So his last rock goes all the way over to where the other school is. So I'm standing there waiting my turn, and the gym teacher's just like, "No, just go ahead, just take your turn." So when you're in a more or less a compromised position when you're trying to throw your rock, right? So like you're kind of in a stretched out position. Now, I don't know about most people, but when you hear somebody tell you heads up, my first reaction is I'm gonna look up. That's exact. That's what I did. I looked the wrong way. I should have looked down because that kid went to go get his rock and sent it careening back across the ice. And instead of aiming for the button, it aimed for my kneecap and did hit the target. My gray uniform pants changed several shades of red almost instantaneously. I'm on the ice just writhing in pain. And the only thing I can hear is my gym teacher at the other end of the ice. Get up, you're melting the ice, you're melting the ice. And I'm like, is this your concern right now? Are you sure that this is the hill you want to die on? I wasn't mad at the kid because, I know he didn't do that on purpose. But like I've just never gotten back into it because, like Julian said, it's a really easy sport. Like it doesn't. You just gotta throw the rock. Just gotta have a little aim, and like she said, it makes you think a little bit of how you want to aim a certain stone to take out your opponent's rocks and stuff like that. But I was more upset with the gym teacher, and my parents were too, and the principal, and the school board, and the other school. The other school called my school to see if I was okay. And that's how more concerned they were about my my health than he was. But he's
Wow.
an Ottawa
Your
Senator,
your
relatively
gym
said. So I don't
teacher,
know.
is he, I hope that guy's not winning any teaching awards because that is brutal. I feel like he's the guy who turned you off of curling. He's the villain.
Yes, he is the start of my villain origin story for curling.
Yes, the disliking curling origin story. And he is the beginning of it. Oh man, give curling a chance at redemption. Just give us another try.
Yes, there should be redemption because I have curled before. Again, I live right near a curling club in the West End. I won't dox myself. Jolie might know what it is. It's in the West End, Edmonton. I live right by there. I've curled before, but it is funny to see when I've gone down, Jolene, to curl with friends. How again you mentioned how getting different communities. It would be big because I've curled before with friends, and the biggest thing is I'm gonna say it. I've been the one black guy curling at any event. I've been the token brother out there curling. And can I curl that well? Not really. Do I know what I'm doing? Kind of sort of. Yeah, I know how to I know how to get a stone, beyond the hog line. I can't handle myself, but yeah, I would love to see more people who look like me in a bonspiel one day.
Totally agree. The sport has a lot of work to do there. Especially in Canada, like I said, internationally, there are a lot of, it's a very like popular sport, especially in Asia. It's so big in China and South Korea and Japan. So there are a lot of other countries that are involved, but in Canada for sure, like 9 times out of 10, if you go down to a curling club, it's mostly white people. And that for sure is a problem, that I'm trying to address within the sport. And hopefully other people are too. I think other people are too, because it is one of Canada's historic sports, and so all Canadians should feel comfortable at a curling club and should be able to feel like they can walk in and make some friends. Now, Troy, I will say that they are very sensitive about their ice. So if you do sit on the ice for too long, they are going to try to make you get up and go. But they're going to do that for everybody. Because once that ice is hard to make. They don't want you melting it. That
Oh
being
no, I
said,
get that. I think he underestimated the severity of the injury, even as the ice itself was changing color too. I mean, I don't think he fully understood why I couldn't get up.
yeah, I'm sure that that was not his finest moment.
No.
If we get you back out there, there's a lot of different variations you could try. So if you're like too scarred and you don't want to do the whole sliding thing, they actually have stick curling, which you just kind of like walk out and push a stick. And so that's an option if you want to just try something different, kind of get your feet wet with it, get more comfortable until you're ready to slide again. That's always an option for you. Anytime you're ready, just let me know.
All right, sounds good. Sounds interesting. I'd give it a try.
And at least we can get you out watching, I'm sure too, maybe if you want to come to the Scotties.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll do it.
good, okay. I'm converting you slowly but surely.
I think this is the first time. This is also the first time we've had a guest actually make fun of somebody on our panel that isn't me. So thank goodness, because like I've always been catching strays from like practically everybody here, and including our guests. If you actually listen to one of our other episodes, like from the past, like say George LaRock has actually made fun of me in the past. So, and I'm pretty sure most of you who have been listening for like the last 5 years probably understand what that moment felt like for me because it felt like death. So, thank God this isn't hitting me right now. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate you taking the bullet for this one. Um, we're actually gonna start wrapping up here, so we're gonna so what we like to do, just say to finish off our episodes, is we do like what say a few minutes of like speed round questions, where it's like you just we ask you a few like say fun questions. You don't think about it, just answer off the top of your head, and then as soon as we're done, we'll just get a soundbite from you. Is that cool?
Hopefully, I don't say anything cancelable in this speed round. Anything that'll get me canceled.
Honestly, we've had people say much worse, and I think we're still doing this like 5 years later. So I think we're
Okay.
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 All right. So I'm gonna ask this first things first, and this might get me in trouble. What is a better city in your opinion, Seattle or Vancouver?
Ooh, Vancouver.
Okay, Avery, you're next.
For me, who is your PW Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, tough one. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna, I feel like I can't pick any, can't pick. Neutral. Because I have a reason for being neutral. I might have to do some stories on some rookies, and I don't want any of them feeling like I picked one over the other. When my stories are out, then I'll say a name.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay,
sorry to be
okay.
political. Sorry to be political.
All right, Marsha, you're up.
Spring or fall?
Spring or fall? Spring.
Mm.
Troy, go ahead.
Outside of curling, what's your favorite? What was your favorite event that you covered?
Olympics. Paris Olympics.
Okay. Given that you've lived and worked in Toronto, have you ever experienced jerk chicken before, and would you ever eat it again?
I've actually never lived in Toronto. I visited a
Okay, so there we go.
no, have not tried jerk chicken, would definitely try jerk chicken. Please tell me the best place to go. When I'm there for the Scotties, I will go there.
You know what? We're gonna make it a group thing, and like we'll take you personally. I promise.
Yes.
We'll
Done.
find you some good spots.
Done. I love it.
All right, Avery, go ahead.
Ooh, I got one. Okay, so since we're on food, I'll stick with this one. Since Jolene, since you lived in LA, favorite LA spot to hit, favorite LA restaurant.
Ooh, okay, it's a Vietnamese restaurant called Blossom, and there's multiple locations, but they've closed, like it's kind of, it might be a front. It probably is a front because they're not always open. I can't always guarantee they're going to be open when I go there. But the one in Chinatown seems to be open most regularly, so Blossom in Chinatown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pineapples go on pizza.
I don't have a problem with it, but I'm very loosey-goosey. I don't have a problem with many things, so my opinion should not be followed.
It's a valid opinion. It's okay. We love pineapples, Troy. um, favorite book.
Anne of Green Gables,
Ooh.
Ooh.
classic. I read it every year.
Okay. In your follow-up to that, are you more fan of the book or more fan of the TV show?
Oh, I couldn't even watch the TV show. They changed the plot line. They made what's his face into like a child predator. It was horrible. They
What?
desecrated it. They desecrated. Now, the movie, the original movie with whatever her name is, can't remember her name, the actress, but that is an excellent movie. I need to rewatch that actually. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. Okay. Most embarrassing moment covering the World Series.
The World Series. I was really shy back then, so it was I mean, I still am shy, but it was uncomfortable for me to be in the clubhouse with like everybody spraying champagne on me. When I was just trying to get my quotes, I felt like a lot of attention because if you go down to like a clubhouse like after a World Series win, everybody wants to party, and if you're just a girl down there, you attract a lot of attention. So for me, felt a little uncomfortable, but I did wear a garbage bag over my clothes so that I looked very neutral.
You have a pair of goggles with you as well because like that's normally like prerequisite for any championship celebration at this point now. It's like having a pair of ski goggles is clutch at this point.
I know. When I was covering them, I felt like I wasn't cool enough to wear goggles, so I didn't. I know. Because I was like, I'm just a little like print reporter. I'm not like a TV reporter. All the TV people wear them, but the print people don't. So I didn't wear any goggles. Obviously now I would that was my own insecurity, but so I toughed it out and I just got the champagne in my eyes. It doesn't feel good to get champagne in your eye. I do not recommend.
A few more questions and then we'll cut it off from there. Avery,
Jolene, you covered the ESPYs, so I do want to ask you, who was your favorite ESPYs interview to do on the red carpet?
Hmm. I did a an interview with Kristen and Kyle Jusick. How do you pronounce their last names? Jusick. I'm probably butchering it. He plays for the 49ers. She does like a lot of the really cool she'll take a jersey and make it into like a cool jacket or whatever. She's a designer. And we talked about curling actually, because their friend George Kittle is a curler as well. He also plays football. And so that was fun because I surprised them with questions about George's obsession with curling. And so yeah, it was a different interview. Oh, I also have another one. This is like random. Uh, the one of my friends there was a person who won like the ESPYs have an award for service, so it doesn't go to an athlete, it goes to somebody who has like contributed greatly to I don't know to human good. And my friend won it this year. She's a firefighter and she fought in the Pacific Palisades fire. So that was really cool because the last time I saw her before the red carpet at the ESPYs was in Wadi Rum Desert in Jordan, where we had completed a 100-kilometer bike ride across Jordan with some other friends. And I was like very ill, very, very ill, and I had been for days. And the it was I had terrible stomach issues from the food. And she had antibiotics with her. And she gave me some, and they were what and helped me start to get better in the middle of the desert because like there's no doctors there, or whatever. I didn't want to ruin the trip by having to leave early and go to the doctor. So she gave me these antibiotics, and I was so grateful to her. And then I haven't seen her really since until on the red carpet at the ESPYs when she was winning this award. So that will always go down for me as the funniest interview I have ever done because I did a serious interview with her. And then at the very end, I was like, if you were in the middle of a desert with a bunch of teammates and you only had a few antibiotics and there was one sick person, would you share your antibiotics? And she just burst out laughing because she knew exactly what I was talking about. So I don't think I'll ever have a funnier interview in my life.
Staying on the topic of the ESPYs, who has who was the best dressed and the worst dressed that you've seen?
Best dressed and worst dressed that I saw at the ESPYs. Ooh. What's her name? The gymnast? I'm blanking on her name. But she, hold on here. I'm gonna Google it. ESPYs gymnast. Uh, the one
It
with the,
wasn't Simone, was it?
no, it was, who is it that has the kidney? Okay, Suni Lee. Suni Lee.
Oh, okay.
I loved what she wore. She looked totally gorgeous. Hard not to look gorgeous. I mean, she's a very pretty person. Worst dressed? Hmm. I mean, honestly, I didn't notice anybody who was terribly dressed, but I would have to say that like that's probably because the worst dressed people there just like didn't know how to dress. And so they don't even clock them because they're just like wearing like a very average suit or something like that. Probably a hockey player. Probably just didn't even notice them.
That's me. All right. Marsha, you got one more and then I'll finish her off.
If you could curl with any athlete ever, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, fun question. It's gonna have to be a female athlete for sure. And we're gonna have to pick someone who is not a traditional curler. I'm gonna go with Allison Felix.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
might
like
like
her.
that. That'd
I
be
would just
fun.
like to hang out with her too. She seems really fun.
All right, and this is the last question for rapid fire here. When you won your Emmy, how loud did you scream?
Oh, I didn't scream at all. I didn't believe I won it for a really long time because I didn't go to the ceremony. It was the sports Emmys, and I didn't know that our production was nominated.
Hmm.
Um, I just didn't even check. No one told me. And so then we won, and it was in like our group chat for that production. And I thought they meant that like the big producers on the show won, not everybody on the like not me. So
Hmm.
I was like congratulating everybody in the group chat, and I went on Facebook, and the one of the bigger like producers was on my Facebook talking about the Emmy, and I wrote on his wall like congratulations on your Emmy. And he was like, "You mean congratulations on our Emmy?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." I don't know what he's saying. And then, like halfway through the day, that day, looked at the actual winners list and my name was on it. My actual name was on it. And I was like, oh my God, I won an Emmy. I won it. So, yeah, it was shocking, but I didn't scream. I was just like quiet because I couldn't believe. And then I kept checking. It was probably like 24 hours. I had the winners list on a PDF and I'd pull
Mhm.
it up like once an hour and just like search my name just to double check. I'm like, it really there? Did I actually win that?" So that was my experience winning the Emmy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, and we want to just say congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
amazing, and we've had actually a lot of fun, not only talking about curling but also talking about your experiences. So, really and truly, thank you for coming through.
Does that
There we
work?
go. All
Okay.
right,
yeah.
perfect. Jolene,
Cool.
did you enjoy
Fun.
yourself here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.
All
Talked a little
right.
bit of women's hockey, talked a bit of curling. I hope the fans like it. I hope it doesn't bore your audience, but we'll find out.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Trust me. If one podcast from me not going crazy will probably be like a nice change of pace. So there you go. Um, Honestly, you're more than welcome to come back and just kick it with us here and come have a good time.
Cool. I appreciate you guys having me.
No
And
worries.
for
And
sure, let's
curling
connect.
and jerk chicken.
Jerk
Yes.
chicken and curling.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like that's the title for our episode today. Jerk chicken and curling. There you go.
Yes. No, I really want to do that. For sure want to have you out to the Scotties, Marsha, if we can make it happen. So DM me and we'll take it from there.
For sure.
Cool.
All right, perfect. So yes, that's our episode for this evening. Folks, honestly, it's been an honor to have an Emmy winner on our show, and hopefully we'll have more Emmy winners on our show. Maybe even, maybe have a Stanley Cup winner on our show. You never know. Anyways, folks, thank you for letting us grace the space in between your head top. Of course, on behalf of Jolene, Avry, Marsha, and Troy, thank you very much for listening to us and watching us here. We can't do this without you folks. So, of course, follow, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Third Intermission on YouTube. Follow us on the socials and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. This is your boy Dave signing off. And until next time, drink your water, mind your business, and deuces.